This will be a follow-up video to one that I did earlier in the spring, early part of March. It was a review for a midterm exam that I usually give, or used to give in college algebra class that I taught. So this will be the review for the final that I usually give. Okay, I will be using the calculator TI-83. Check out my videos on that. I did most of those on my other channel, Tony Pereira. That's Pereida. So if you need some refresher on that, check that out. Okay, let's look at the first example problem from this review. And again, I'll also show you some techniques for solving problems if you have a multiple choice test, and that's what we usually gave at University of Texas at Brownsville. You have the system, and you can see that from the third equation, z is equal to -4, so you already know the value of z. Plug that into the second equation right here. That'll give me -8. Bring that over, that's +8, and 4 is 12. So 4y is equal to 12 would tell me that y is equal to 3. And from that, you can plug into the first equation the values of y and z, 3 and -4, and you get x is equal to 4. So the answer to the first one is C. Now let's look at the second one. And on this one, it's a system. So if I try to solve this by elimination, notice this equation, right? This one right there and this one right there are multiples of each other. So notice if I multiply the first one by, say, a -3 all the way across and then add to the third, this would be -3x, and 3x is 0. -3 times 4y is -12y, and 12y is 0. -3 times a -3 is a +3z, and a -3z is 0. And -9 then, and 9 is 0, so I get 0 is equal to 0. That always suggests an infinite solution set. Okay, so we know that D is not the answer. Inconsistent means no solution, so this was an infinite solution. So what we do in this type of problem is take the two that are different. Actually, number 1 and equation number 1 and number 3 are the same. They're just multiples of each other. So I'm going to take the first one. And solve for x and y in terms of z. So I'm going to bring the z terms over to the right. Okay, and then in the second one, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'll get x plus 5y is equal to 5. And this will be a plus 2z. And then I'm going to solve this by elimination. So basically I'm solving for x and y just like these numbers on the right side were numbers. So I'm going to multiply the first equation by -1 all the way across and then add. So what I'm doing here is trying to cancel one of the variables. I'm going to cancel the x. Multiplying by -1, the left side will just give me -x, and x cancel. -4y and 5y is y equals. And then over here, -1 times 3 is -3, and 5 is 2. And then -1 times z is -z, and a plus 2z is a plus z. Okay. So this tells me then that the solution is infinite, and I'm solving for x and y in terms of z. So notice this tells me that y is equal to 2 plus z, or if you read it the other way, that's z plus 2. But if you look at these, there's only one that has that. So by process of elimination, I know that the answer is B for this one. I could substitute 2 plus z right here, where I have the y, put 2 plus z right there and solve it for x, and I would get x is equal to minus 3z minus 5. Okay, so that's my solution. Okay, for the third one, it says write the system of equations corresponding to the given augmented matrix. Well, again, recall the augmented matrix is just the representation of the equation. The first row, the numbers on the left represent the coefficients of the variables. In this case, there's 3 of them, so it's x, y, and z. And the numbers on the right represent the constant. So basically this would read 6x plus 7y minus 3z is equal to 2. The second row would tell me minus 2x plus 2y plus 0z is equal to 7. And 3x plus 0y minus 7z is equal to 3. Well, that would correspond to system B. So the answer to number 3 is B. Okay. The next one says determine whether the system corresponding to the given augmented matrix is consistent, which means has a solution, or inconsistent, which means has no solution. It says if it is consistent, give the solution. Okay, so again, each row represents the equation of the system. So if you look at the last row, this reads 0x plus 0y plus 0z is equal to negative 10. Well, that would tell me then, because these are all zeros, the left side of the equation is 0 and the right is negative 10. 0 cannot equal to negative 10. That's a contradiction. So the answer to number 4 is D. It's inconsistent. No solution. Okay, number 5 says perform the row operations on the given augmented matrix. So this is row 2 is equal to, so this says multiply the components of row 1 by 4 and add to the components of row 2. Okay, so multiplying here by 4. 4 times 1 is 4, added to negative 4 is 0. 4 times 4, 16, added to 5 is 21. 4 times 11 is 44, added to negative 3 is a 41. So that corresponds to B. Okay, number 6. So solve the system of equations using Cramer's rule if it is applicable. If Cramer's rule is not applicable, say so. Okay, so this one again, because it's multiple choice, you're given the answers. It's very easy to just plug in the numbers, and you can figure out that if you put a 5 here and a 5 here, you'll get this answer here. Or you put a 5 here and a 5 here, a 5 here and a 3 here, you get this value, this answer. And a 5 here and a 3 here, you get this answer. So D is the solution. So I'm trying to give you any shortcuts possible on these two to get the solution, especially when the test is multiple choice. For number 7, find the value of the determinant. Again, remind you that I did several videos using the graphing calculator and how to evaluate determinants. So again, reference that on my Tony Pereira channel if you need a refresher on that. So on this one, I'm going to just take the calculator, the 83, and I'm going to do this. Several ways that I showed how to get the determinant of find the determinant of a square matrix. In this case, you can go to the matrix manual to do that and edit. I also gave a way to do it on the main screen. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go to matrix menu, but I'm not going to use the components there. I'm just going to go to the math menu and choose one, which is determinant. And then I'm just going to put the matrix here using that method that I showed in an earlier video. So I put brackets, and then brackets, and then I enter the components of the first row, which are 4, and then a comma, 2, comma, 4, and then I close with a bracket, and then I start the next row with another bracket, and then enter the components of the second row. It's 2, comma, 3, comma, minus 5. Close and start the next one. Bracket, enter the components. 3, comma, 2, comma, and negative 4, negative 5. Brackets, and then I need brackets again. Okay, so in this method, to evaluate a determinant, I access the determinant function for the matrix menu, and then math. And then I start off with the main brackets, and then basically I have all the rows in brackets. 4, 2, 4. Next one in brackets, 2, 3, negative 5. The next one, 3, 2, negative 5. Close again with the brackets, so it starts rather, and enter the bracket, and then the rows are contained in brackets. And then I hit enter, and I get negative 50, negative 50. Okay. You can do the same thing with number 8. Do the same thing with number 8, and you'll get D, or 130, 130. Okay. For number 9, the equation of the line passing through the distinct points x1, y1, x2, y2 is given by this right here. Find the equation of the line passing through the points 3, 5, negative 1, and 4. Okay, so that means you would leave this as an x, this is a y, and then replace the x1 and the y1 here, and the x2 and the y2 here by these points, 3, 5, negative 1, 4. Evaluate this thing on the left side, and then solve. Keep the x and the y on one side, and evaluate this, and you'll get answer A. But notice answer A is the same thing as answer B. If you multiply this by a negative 1, I get this answer. Okay, so in this case, they gave me the same answer here. A and B could be the correct answer, could be A or B. Okay. Now, since you're given the answers, you could just plug in the numbers in. You could put a 3 here and a 5 here, and it's supposed to give you 0. Put a 3 here and a 5 here to give you 0. And of course, you have to try the other one also. That'll work. Okay, so I'm trying to go as fast as I can. The last time I did the midterm, I had to do it in 3 parts because of time constraints. I think I have a little bit more time, so I'm going to try to do it in 30 minutes. If I don't do it in 30 minutes, then I'm going to just give you the answers to the rest of the problems. Okay, number 10. Each matrix is not singular. Find the inverse of the matrix. Okay. Again, this is one that can be done in the calculator, and if you're given a multiple choice test, you're just given the answers. They're just going to grade the answer. Pick your method. So in this case, again, I'm going to use the calculator. So kind of like what I did a while with determinants, even though here it's matrices, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write the matrix out on the main screen here. Negative 2, comma, 4, and then close brackets, and then start with another brackets, and then enter the next row. 4, comma, negative 4. close with a bracket, and then another main bracket, and then I want the inverse, so I need this negative here, right here. Hit enter. Okay, it gives me the fractions here, or decimal I should say, so I want it in fractions, so let me go to the math menu, and number 1 is fractions, so hit enter. Then if I hit enter again, it converts the previous answers to fractions. So there we have it. 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, and 1/4. So that corresponds to answer D. Okay. 11 can be done the same way. The only difference is you're going to have 3 components in each row, but you can do the same thing with number 11, and if you do, you're going to get answer A. Okay, you can do it the same way as I did the previous problem on the calculator. Okay, the next one, solve using elimination. Okay, so on this one, if I add the 2 equations to eliminate, say, the y squared, this is going to give me 2x squared. Okay, in other words, x squared and x squared is 2x squared plus y squared minus y squared cancels, and then 58, or 58 rather than 40, is equal to 98. Okay, divide both sides of this by 2, and we get 49. Okay, so x squared is equal to 49, so that should tell me that x then should be, take this positive and the negative square root, either a positive or a -7. Okay. So put a 7 right here, put a 7 right here, and that would be 49, 7 squared 49. 49 subtracted from 58 is 9, so that would tell me that y squared is equal to 9. Okay, so again, taking the square root, plus or minus, that would tell me that y can be plus or minus 3. Okay, so when x is 7, y can be 3 or -3. When x is -7, y could be 3 or -3. So that's going to match up with answer D. Okay, 13. Let me clear this. Says the sum of the squares of 2 numbers is 37. The sum of the squares of 2 numbers is 37. So you could actually set up a system for this and say, okay, let x be one of the numbers and let y be the other number. So that means the sum of the squares, x squared plus y squared is 37. Okay. And then the sum of the 2 numbers is 5. So x plus y has to be 5. Okay, so if you go to answer A, you could solve that system that I just gave. X squared plus y squared is equal to 37. And then the other equation would be x plus y is equal to 5. Solve it like we did one of the previous ones by elimination. But since you're given the answers, you could just test them out. Well, 1 and 6, remember they have to add up to 5, so answer A can't be the one. Okay, for that one. Okay, let's try C. -6 and 1, that's -5. Okay, so the sum does not equal to 5, so that's wrong. That's not going to work out. And of course, obviously this one here, -6 and 1 is 5. Okay, so just by process of elimination, it has to be B. -1 and 6 is 5. And then -1 squared is 1. 6 squared is 36. 1 and 36 is 37. That checks. Okay. Now, the next next one, graph the solution of the system of inequalities, or indicate that the system has no solution. Okay, so let me kind of draw this for you. Here we have a boundary x squared plus y squared is equal to 100. Okay, so you should recognize that as a circle of radius 7. Okay, a circle of radius 7. So let me just draw a circle. Okay, let's say that's a circle of radius 7. Okay, the next one is a line. X, first degree, so you recognize this as the boundary is a line. Minus 4x plus 6y equals to negative 24. Okay, the less than or the greater than is going to determine where we shade. Okay, so basically for this one, if it's less than, we shade inside the circle. Okay, so this one we'll be shading inside this way. If we have a line, we shade either above or below the line depending on the inequality, and there's tests to do that. Now, one way to look at this, if you solve this for y and it reads y less than, you shade below. So notice here, if I were to solve this for y, bring this over to this side and divide by 6, the inequality would stay less than. So I know then that for this one I'm going to be shading below the line. And then I also know that if I bring this over to this side, the coefficient of the x will be positive, and I divide through by 6, so it's going to stay positive. So since the slope is positive, the line slants this way. If it's negative, it comes down this way. Okay, so just by that information, I know that the line slants in this direction. And it's a little bit crooked, but okay, let's assume that's a line. And it reads less than, so that means I'll be shading this way, below the line. Okay, so I want the solution set of the system. So the solution set of the system then has to be the set of points that, one, is inside the circle and at the same time below the line. So inside the circle and below the line. Okay, so that would be this region right here. Okay, so notice I didn't even use a coordinate system, but I'm assuming that that's what's going to happen. So to verify this, let's look at the answers. Okay, so there's the circle, and notice I have the line in the same direction. And B is the one that matches what I did. Okay, so that's your solution. Let me clear this. Okay, so the next one is also a circle. Both of them are circles. The boundary for the first one is x squared plus y squared is equal to 36. Boundary for the second one is x squared plus y squared is equal to 25. So the first one has a boundary of a radius of 6, I should say. So my circle again, a little crooked here, but there it is. And then this one has a radius of 5, so they're both centered at the origin. So this one's going to be inside, like this. Okay. And notice this one reads, this is the bigger radius here. This one reads less than, so this one's going to be shaded this way, below, inside the circle. And this one reads greater than, so that means I'm going to take shade outside the circle here. So my solution set then would be the region that's inside the bigger circle, but at the same time outside the smaller circle. So that would have to be this region right there. So we'll look at their answers then. That would correspond to answer B. Answer B. Okay, for number 16, again, just for the sake of time, you can solve these. You can plug the numbers in to see which ones work. So that's the thing when you're solving equations, and it's a multiple choice. It's easy to just plug in and see which ones work. So for 16, the answer is going to be A. For 17, the answer is going to be D. Now 18, the sequence is defined recursively. Write the first 4 terms. Okay, so this tells me the first term is 4, and the general term, or the nth term, a sub n, is equal to 3 times a sub n minus 1. So this is telling me that the nth term, to get the nth term, you multiply the a sub n minus 1 term, but that's the term right before a sub n, by 3. So in essence, what it's telling me is if you know one term, to get the next one, just multiply by 3. So the first one is 4. Multiplied by 3, you get 12. Multiplied by 3, you get 36. Multiplied by 3, you get 108. So the answer to that one is C. Okay. 19. Write out the sum. Okay. K equal 1 to n of k plus 15. So remember, this means you plug in 1, then you plug in 2, and 3, and so on, all the way up to n. So if you plug in 1, the first term is going to be 16. Okay, the first term has to be 16. So just by that information, I know the answer is D. Okay, because the other ones don't make sense. So just use a little bit of common sense. Has to be D. But notice if you plug in 2, you get this term, and so on. And if you plug in the last term, which is n, you get n plus 15. Okay. Number 20. Just express the sum using summation notation. Okay. So since you're given the answers, just test those out. Okay. So this would say, okay, if I plug in a 1 there and square it, that should give me the first term, which is 1. Okay. It's not. It gives me 3. So you know that's not correct. If you plug it in here, plug in 1 there, you get 1 times 9 is 9. So you know B is not correct. Plug in 0, you get 0. You know that's not correct. So just by process of elimination, you know that it has to be D. Okay, and you can test it out if you want to, but obviously the first 3 are not correct. It has to be D. 21 says find the nth term of the indicated term, or find the nth term and the indicated term of the arithmetic sequence whose initial term A and common difference D are given. Okay. For this one, the nth term of an arithmetic sequence is given by this formula. Okay, let me try this again. Okay, equal to A1 plus n minus 1 D. Okay, in case you can't read it, here it is. The nth term is A1, first term, plus n minus 1 times D, which is the common difference. Okay, so they want the 14th term. Let's try find that A14. So we put 14 right there. Put 14 right there, and that's going to give me 14 minus 1 is 13, and then times D, which is -2. Okay, so 14 minus 1 is 13 times a -2 is a -26. -26, and then plus 9 is a -17. Okay, so it could be one of these. Okay. Now it wants the nth term also, So to get the nth term, all we have to do here is put a 9 right there. A1 is 9, and I'm sorry, D is -2. We want the answer in terms of n, so this will be -2. Okay, so we're going to have -2 times n is -2n, and then -2 times a -1 is a +2, and a 9 is 11. Okay, so that would give me the formula a sub n is equal to 11 minus 2n, and the 14th term would be -17. Okay, there you have it. Okay, number 22 says the 19th term of the arithmetic sequence. Okay, so we want the 19th term, and here's my formula. So the first term is 0. Okay, so that would be 0 plus, and it wants the 19th term, so that would be 19 minus 1 is 18 times, and then we're multiplying by d, and here the common difference, we're adding 6, so this is going to be 6. So 6 times 18 is 108. So the answer to 22 is B.